Hi everybody, I'm Ao, behind us is Papuji. We're coming to you from Gowanus, Brooklyn, Turtle Island, home of the Lenape people, and this is Yoga for Every Body. Today's practice is rooted in self-care, especially in response to trauma and oppression. Today is May 29th, 2020. This week, George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis police. In New York City, we're still under COVID-19 lockdown, and last week while shopping for groceries, someone yelled anti-Asian sentiments at me in a way that I probably haven't been yelled at in 20 years. I woke up this morning feeling agitated and realized that agitation is usually about rage, but I act my rage out as irritation or frustration towards the people or the situations in my life in which I feel that I have some control, because I feel rage over the situations in which I don't have control. So instead of doing that, today's practice is to invite yourself to stand in your power, to reform your trauma, and to be able to take it forward with you. I will say that for me, underneath the rage, the irritation, and the frustration, then also lies a very deep grief and a very deep sadness. And if I actually go a little bit beneath that grief and sadness, what I find is a deep sense of shame or unworthiness, either that I didn't do enough about a situation, or a feeling that I've been socialized with, which is that I should shut my mouth, say I'm sorry, and get out of the way. So today, for any people that are feeling rage, grief, sadness, irritation, frustration, shame, I invite you to take this journey in self-care today as a way to garner your power together and walk forward in the world from a grounded perspective. As Audre Lorde once said, self-care is an act of political warfare. Today, I invite you to stand in your truth, to be present in your body as an act against oppression. And if you need to go march in the streets, I'll see you at 4 p.m. So for today's practice, you will probably find it helpful to have something to pad underneath your knees. If it's helpful to have a strap or a tie or a belt to facilitate pulling your knees into your chest. Yoga blocks are always nice, but if you don't have them, you could use upside down kitchen bowls or empty plastic containers. And also a chair is nice if it's helpful for you when getting up and down off of the floor. Today I'm going to invite a couple of mantras to work with, or just sayings to work with in your practice that have been helpful to me. So if you're feeling particularly traumatized by events in the news recently, or you feel yourself spinning into a loop, or your heart beating really fast, then I invite you to work with the words, "In this moment, I am safe." And if you are feeling particularly shameful or unworthy, or like you're not doing enough, then I invite you to work with, "In this moment, I love and accept myself as I am." Now, this isn't to say that you necessarily feel those things all the way, and it's also not to say that you should ignore if you're in an unsafe situation. But again, with the idea that we're trying to not re-traumatize the body, but bring ourselves into a state of feeling grounded so that we can move forward to do the important work that we need to do. I will say for myself, as someone who has been arrested in the past, as well as been tear gassed, anytime I go out into the streets, it's important for me to get grounded and to get centered so that I'm not re-traumatizing myself, and I know that I'm acting from a place of my power. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start on our backs. Okay, so lying on our backs, I just like to spend a moment here to tap into the breath. So we're just going to take a couple breaths here, and you can imagine that the back of your body could widen and that your shoulders can broaden with your inhales. And then with your exhale, you can imagine that your spine can release upwards into its length towards the top of the head and out the top of the head. So as I inhale, my shoulders and my back broaden, and as I exhale, I feel myself release into my strength. Now right away, if you want to bring in that mantra, "In this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I love and accept myself." And then when you're ready, we're going to draw the knees in towards the chest. And if it's helpful to you to have a strap, you could bring a strap to the backs of your knees to facilitate that. Right, drawing the knees into the chest so that the arms can control the weight of the legs and the legs can stay nice and soft. And we're just going to rock a little bit with the breath here. So you can inhale, let the knees float away, and exhale, use your arms to pull them back in. This is great for moving the digestion and moving a stagnant belly, which can happen with holding, with anger, frustration, so that we're less likely to internalize that frustration or that rage and instead put it in its rightful place, direct it at who it's directed towards. Just one more, inhaling, knees away, and exhaling, knees close. All right, we're going to rock a little bit, just side to side, just to release the lower back and the hip sockets, get a little movement going in the hips. And then when you're ready, you can release your legs down. You could have your legs straight or, again, knees gently bent. We're going to reach our arms up overhead and just take a big stretch to the body. Feel your fingers reaching out. Maybe feel your belly or your navel engaging, or you could take some side stretches, reaching one side a little longer, and then the other side, so a feeling of like a yawn up the side of the body. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to roll ourselves over to the side and come up to hands and knees. Okay, in hands and knees position, you may be familiar with cat-cow, and so we're going to take a couple rounds of that with some lion pose. So you're going to inhale, you can lift your tailbone and look up, and then as we exhale and round the spine, you're going to open the mouth, stick out the tongue if that feels good to you. Thinking about releasing any stagnant energy. On the inhale, think about drawing your power into your core and your midline, and exhale. Maybe releasing some anger, some frustration. If you want to release sound, you can. Again, inhale. Draw your power into your midline, into your core, and exhale. Push into your hands, round your spine. We do that one more time. Inhale, breathing right into your core, your center, your midline, your strength. And exhale, push the floor away, push the back towards the sky. All right, I'm going to invite you to come down onto your belly. You can lower yourself down. And here at the belly, for all my sciatica and lower back people, we're going to do a quick exercise. If you need a little more padding under your hips, you can. Or if you feel it in your low back already, you can pad a little bit to take the arch out of your lower back. We're going to take the legs here and we're going to float the feet up off the floor as if you're reaching your toes really far away from you. And then we're going to just widen the feet as wide as the mat and then close the feet back towards one another. We're just going to do that a few more times. Nice strong legs. The feet are reaching so far away from you, they're up off the floor. You don't have to think about reaching them super high, right? So we're actually getting into some of the smaller muscles. It may not feel as big as you feel when you do like leg lifts or anything like that. Again, if you're feeling it in your lower back, you might try padding to take some of the arch out or pushing your pubic bone down towards the floor. Inhaling, widening, and exhaling. All right, we're going to lower that down. We're going to bring the forehead down onto the floor. You're going to bring your hands onto the floor. They're going to be in line with the shoulders, but wider, and we're going to tent the fingertips here. Again, I'm going to take my pubic bone, and I'm going to press down with my pubic bone to take a little pressure off the lower back. And then we're going to inhale, lift up the chest. As you exhale, you can find a lion pose again. As you lower down, we're going to inhale and lift the chest up. And as I exhale, I let that go. Just one more time. Inhale, opening through the chest and the heart. And exhale. All right, I'm going to bring my hands underneath my shoulders. I'm going to push myself back towards my hands and my knees. At this point, I am going to adjust my padding a little bit more to have more padding under my knees and less padding underneath the rest of me. And then I'm going to work to step 1 foot forward between my hands. And you could do that by putting blocks under your hands, or if it's helpful to have the chair closer to you, you can use the chair as well. Okay, so for this exercise, we're going to bend the front knee. You might want to scoot the back knee back a little bit so that you pull yourself forward then and roll over the top of the kneecap. So there shouldn't be a lot of pressure on your knee. But we're going to inhale, we're going to lift the heart, feel it open. And we're going to exhale and move the front leg towards straight. Now from here you could stay, or you could also flex your toes up towards the sky. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't have blocks, you could use a chair in front of you. So we're going to bend the front knee, inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, move the front leg towards straight. And again, bend, inhale, lift the heart open. Exhale, releasing tension out of the back leg. Releasing tension out of the breath. A couple more times. And exhaling. We're going to draw ourselves back towards hands and knees. Again, you can use your blocks or use your chair while you make that transition. And then we're going to take a few more of those lion cobra breaths. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, round your spine, release. Push into the floor, inhale. I can feel when I do this, I want to push. And I don't want to release my neck, but I'm going to encourage myself just to let my head go. Whoops, even if it means I lose my hat. All right, when you're ready, we're going to come to bring the opposite foot in front, same structure. Step the foot forward between the hands, use your blocks, the chair, the floor, whatever feels right to you. Maybe get a little pressure off that back knee, pull forward, inhale, lift up, exhale. And one more. And exhale. I'm going to softly bend my knee, transition myself back to my hands and knees position. One more time with my releasing cats. Okay, we're going to come back towards child's pose, which may or may not be a comfortable place for you. So if you want to, you could find padding for your belly or underneath your heels, or you could simply just not come as low. So if you're not lowering your head down, you could lower your elbows down onto the floor. Okay. If you're familiar with child's pose, it's where you bring your forehead towards the floor. You might use a block under your forehead. And we're going to reach the arms out here. So I'm a little bit active in my upper body. I'm feeling the sides of my body open and my armpits start to open. All right, one more breath here. I feel myself drawing my power inwards on my breath. I feel myself steadying on my exhales. Okay, we're going to come to lie down on the belly again. So you can see here how I have this little bit of padding that sort of pads underneath my stomach. It takes a little bit of the arch out of my lower back. We're going to practice those gecko or cobra-like poses again. Inhale. In this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I love and accept myself as I am. We'll take one more breath here. All right, we're going to bring the left arm, or I'm going to bring my left arm, but you can do whatever side you want first. I'm going to bring my left arm into this 90-degree angle shape on the floor, and then I'm going to bend my right knee, and I'm going to flip myself over to face towards the right. So you might step your foot back behind you. Now already I feel a pretty strong stretch on the front of my pec, and if you have breast tissue that gets clamped underneath, you can just move that tissue out of the way. I'm going to take my fist and I'm going to use my fist underneath my head to support my head so that my neck is in alignment with the rest of my spine. fists are known to represent power. A way that we remind ourselves that we will not back down. And as you use this fist to support your head, you're also simultaneously opening your heart. So that when we use our fist in the air, it doesn't mean that we are shutting down our heart. All right, when you're ready, we're going to come back through center. We'll take the other side. So right arm here into this almost like 90-degree ankle shape. You can bend both knees too and roll on your side, or just bend one. And then again, if it's uncomfortable for your breast tissue, you just pull that underneath you, make a fist, use your fist to support you. I'm changing my mantra mid-practice. And now my mantra is becoming, in this moment, I am powerful. And I think that's alternated for me with, in this moment, I am grounded. All right, we're going to roll back onto the belly, place the hands underneath the shoulders, and then press yourself back towards your hands and your knees. We're going to step a foot forward between the hands again. Okay, so stepping 1 foot forward between the hands, and then this time you know the practice that we did before, and you can do that practice again, or you can lift your back knee up off the floor so you're in a lunge pose. Again, you might have blocks under your hands, or you could use a chair in front of you to support you. We're going to take a twist here, unless you are carrying a child. If you're carrying a child, meaning you're pregnant, then you want to open yourself up. So you want to open up into just an open twist. If it's comfortable for you, you could open into a twist that's towards your front thigh. Now, I often see it where people want to take this arm and really wrench themselves up towards the sky, and that's okay if you feel like you need that opening, but I invite you to find a softness in that top arm, right? A softness. I've already been here for a while, sorry. So take an inhale. We're going to move this pose. We're going to bring the hand back. We're going to move the front leg towards straight. It's okay if it doesn't get all the way there. We're going to circle the arm all the way around. Bend the front knee. Inhale. Lift the heart up. Exhale, circle the arm down. Again, if you need to do this with the back knee down or take the first practice that we took, by all means do that. Adjusting your body to where you're at today, your level of pain or openness is actually about finding an advanced practice. All right, I'm going to take one more here. And exhale. From here, I'm going to step my back foot in a couple inches. I'm going to drop the back heel down. It's okay for the toes to turn out. And then I'm going to keep moving this front leg towards straight. Now, you could have your hands on your blocks or on your chair again. And then we're going to, again, undulate the spine. So we're going to inhale. We're going to lift up. Exhale, open the mouth. Stick out the tongue. In this moment, I am powerful. In this moment, I am grounded. In this moment, I love and accept myself as I am. When you're ready, we're going to bend that front knee. Step yourself back. We're going to come back towards hands and knees position. Now, I'm not going to teach downward facing dog today, but if downward facing dog is part of your practice, where you lift your knees up and lift your hips up and back, you may do that. To feel some opening on the back of the legs, working towards feeling your shoulders float down away from the ears. If you're not taking downward facing dog for today, you could bring yourself back into a knees position, resting down, or a child's pose, resting the forehead down. All right, we're going to bring ourselves onto the second side here, stepping the foot forward, lifting the back knee up, finding that low lunge pose. Again, finding a twist or an open twist. I'm going to lift my arm up towards the sky. I'm going to circle my hand back, and then I'm going to move my front leg towards straight. Now, I like to circle the arm this way because I feel like the shoulder can get open, but if you need to circle your arm the other way and imagine yourself throwing a Molotov cocktail today, by all means, you may do that. Make your practice yours. A couple more here. Bend the front knee. Inhale, open the heart. And exhale, front leg moves towards straight. And one more. All right, we're going to bring the hands back to support us on blocks or the chair. Step the back foot in an inch or two. Start to move that front leg towards straight. Again, your back knee might be down on the floor. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling. You can find your mantra for today. If you're not lowering your head down, if that creates a problem or pressure for you, you can also just stay lifted here. And bend the elbows. Okay, so from here, we're going to make a transition to goddess pose. And so we're going to turn to face the side of the mat, and you want to go ahead and bend your knees in line with your toes here. So that doesn't mean you have to bend your knees really far out. It means turn your toes in a little bit if you need to. All right, we're going to take a goddess pose. We're going to release some of our tension and our anger here, find our power. So I'm going to reach out, and I feel myself like a big X. My feet are planted down. My fingertips reach out. I'm going to take an inhale here. As I exhale, I'm going to bend my elbows, bend my knees, and make fists. You can find an exhale, strong exhale, inhale. In this moment, I am powerful. In this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I am grounded. In this moment, I love and accept myself as I am. All right, we're going to reach out once more. Feel the extension of your limbs, and then bring the hands onto the hips. We're going to step our feet together to the front of the mat. Okay, with our feet at the front of the mat, you're going to interlace your fingers. You can reach the heels of your hands upwards towards the sky, and then we're going to find some side bending here. So I'm flipping the heels of my hands. I don't think it's in the shot, but I'm flipping the heels of my hands up towards the sky. My feet are rooting down like roots down into soil. I'm grounding myself, and then I'm lifting the palms and the heels of my hands with my fingers interlaced up towards the sky. So I got a firm shoulder opening here. I'm going to keep my feet grounded. I'm not going to let my hips swing from side to side. So I'm going to use the strength of my lower body to find the flexibility of my upper body. So I'm going to side bend here. So you can inhale through the center and exhale, take a bend to the side. So again, the lower body from the navel below, like it's buried, the roots of a tree. I find my grounding. Above that, I'm finding this sense of flexibility, a little bit of ease as I stretch those shoulders open. Beautiful metaphor for moving forward for the day. Finding your grounding, finding your strength, remaining flexible, adaptable, resilient. Last side. Okay, and then coming back to center, I'm going to bend my knees in line with my toes and find a chair pose. So if I'm going to sit back in the chair, even though the chair is right in front of me, you might be using your chair for support. That's fine as well. Or you may want to bring your elbows down onto your thighs. And if you're doing that, sometimes it's nice to have nice wide feet. Okay, so we're finding some strength here, finding some heat in the body. If you want to take that lion pose, that exhale by sticking out your tongue and opening your mouth, you can. Okay, a lot of different options from this moment. You could lower your hands down to the floor and take a downward facing dog. You could bring your hands to your chair and find long legs as you start to straighten. Figure out what works for you. If you want an option of downward facing dog using a chair, you could bring your hands onto the back of the chair. You're going to walk the hands back walk the feet back, and then I'm going to bend my knees here. So I'm not curling my spine, I'm not falling into my lower back, but I'm going to fall into the strength of my legs, bending my knees, reaching my sit bones away from me, and starting to let your shoulders move towards the floor. Now, if you're really flexible, you don't want to overstretch your shoulders, so try to keep your shoulders, your hands, and your hips in one long line here. We're going to make a transition down towards the floor. So if you're downward facing dog, you can move towards the floor. If you're here, you could lower yourself down, however you get there. And we're going to come back down onto the belly. If you're familiar with the vinyasa and you want to lower yourself down through a plank pose, you can. We're going to inhale, lift up again onto the fingertips. Exhale. Inhale, lift up. And exhale. One more. And exhale. Okay, the next pose we're going to come into is Pigeon Pose. And you could come from your hands and your knees. You can come from a downward facing dog. You can also do it on your back, and I'll show all those options. So Pigeon Pose, you draw one knee forward. I'm drawing my right knee towards the back of my right wrist and letting my right foot kind of open out like it's a book. And then I'm going to bring some padding underneath my right hip, because for me, I need a little bit of padding there in order to keep my left hip moving forward. So you don't want to be splaying out, but you want to be squaring the hips forward. You might come down onto your elbows. You might lower your head all the way down. Okay, if you tend to have sensitive knees, or if you have sciatica and you don't want to be overstretching the back of the hips, then instead you're going to come to lie down on your back. You're going to cross one ankle over into a number 4 shape, and you're going to draw your thigh in towards the body. Again, you can use your strap along the back of the thigh if that facilitates you drawing that thigh in. This is also a great one to do with a wall supporting you, if that is more helpful. Okay, we're going to spend a good minute here in Pigeon Pose. So use your breath to open out the pose. As I inhale, I imagine the breath draws down my spine to the place of tension. When I exhale, I imagine the tension can shoot out of the top of my head. Now, Pigeon Pose can often be a place where strong emotions come up, so you can allow those emotions to arrive, letting them be present here on your mat. When you're ready, we're going to walk the hands back under the shoulders, move yourself back to your hands and knees, or you can take a downward facing dog. I'm going to tread through the feet a little bit here, imagining that we could make the hips even. If you're lying on your back, you could draw the knees into the chest and rock a little bit. When you're ready, we'll come into the opposite side. Again, the knee draws towards the back of the wrist, foot opens, padding underneath the hip. Oh, good God. Okay. So the muscles that we're stretching are attached to the sacrum, and a sacrum is a very kind of like base place for us to feel fear, connection to our sense of fight or flight. So in this moment, I am safe, and I can allow my body to open. Finding whatever mantra works for you. Okay, walking the hands back underneath the shoulders. When you're ready, moving yourself back towards your hands and knees, downward facing dog, lying on your belly, whatever feels right to you in this moment. If you're lying on your back, you can draw the knees into the chest again. Okay, check in with your body. What is it that you need? We're finishing up our practice now. Do you need a little more oomph to really get some of that extra energy out? Do you want to reserve that energy? Do you feel grounded and centered? If you're feeling like you want to just have a little more energy in your practice and kind of work it out, then you're going to inhale, and we can take a long plank pose, and then we'll exhale back. Downward dog. And inhale forward. And downward dog. But if you're not doing that practice because you're not inverting your head, you could inhale on your hands and knees and exhale, bend your elbows in towards the side body. Suck the belly up, front body towards the back body so that your lower back is protected. Okay, we're going to meet on the belly one last time, finding those gecko pose. Walking the hands wider than the mat, tenting the fingertips. Okay. Okay, we're going to roll onto the back. If you want to take a bridge pose here, bringing the arms by the sides and lifting the hips up, a bridge is an excellent way to strengthen the back line of the body, which is really good for your back and a lot of different ailments around the back. You could take that for about 5 breaths. You could walk your shoulders underneath you. If you're feeling like, hey, I'm pretty done, you could find some firm padding to put underneath your hips. For me, I have a block here, so you could rest with that there. Okay, I'm going to bring myself back through center. If you feel like you need a little more oomph in your practice or need to work out some more of rage or angst, you could take that a few more times. If you want to keep some reserves of your emotions here to yourself, you can just let them just be right here on your midline, just drawing everything right into that center, letting the vertebrae of the spine just adjust back into a neutral state. We're going to windshield wiper the knees to one side. I'm going to do that on an exhale. I'm going to inhale through center, and I'm going to exhale and inhale through center and exhale. If there's another form of twist that you enjoy, you could also take that here. All right, we're going to come into a happy baby pose. So you can grab the backs of your thighs, your ankles, or the outside of your feet, whatever is most available to you. And then we're going to find a little softening of the tailbone down and shine the bottoms of the feet towards the sky. And then just taking a couple of breaths into the pelvic floor, the space between the pubic bone and the tailbone. All right. If there's anything else that you need for your practice, by all means, please take it. I'm going to go ahead and bring us into a place of rest, but if you want to pause or do something else, you may. So for resting on the back, I find it very helpful to bend the knees if I'm feeling it in my back. And for those of you who have a chair nearby, it's also a great thing to bring your thighs up onto the chair so that your knees are right over your hip creases. And that just helps the femur bones ground down towards the pelvis, which can bring some weightedness to the lower back. All right. So I invite you here to bring one hand onto your belly and one hand onto your heart. And then feel your breath underneath those spaces. So the breath is both a voluntary and involuntary action of your body. You cannot actively stop yourself from breathing without other means, but you can voluntarily use your breath to change its shape, making it shorter or faster. So remembering that as long as you feel that breath, that you are breathing, that you are alive, that you're here on this planet. Starting to let the breath just go, let it get soft and easy. If it's helpful, you can move your hands to another place in the body. Bring your awareness back to the midline. I'm going to bring my awareness back to my midline, imagining that I'm breathing up and down my spine. I find my midline very helpful because it's a reminder of where my power and my centeredness lies. That when I find my midline, I don't have to act from a place of trauma, I can act from a place of strength. That at the core center of who I am, at the midline, I can love and accept all things about myself, love and accept my emotions. And when I can love and accept my emotions, I am more likely to act from a place of love for others. And as you lie here, I invite you to come back to that breath that we started with, that breathing in and the shoulders broaden and widen. And exhale, we release towards the top of the head. So that as you inhale, you feel your width, your broad. And exhale as you release towards the top of the head into your length. Your body can be full, can take up space. And before you bring yourself back up to sit, I'm just going to remind you, remembering that it's wise to have boundaries between you and the rest of the world. That the boundaries that you have are part of your ability to take care of yourself, to know what's best for yourself. As you open your eyes, just allowing the visual sphere back in, maybe staying with a sense of centeredness and grounding. If you're starting to feel anxiety or fear about re-entering the world, I invite you to come back to your breath and come back to a sense of energy that your breath brings you, not anxiety, just energy. There's a shift and a change that's happening here. Change can make us feel uncomfortable, unsafe. But how do we know that we are worthy, that we are held, that we can stay centered? If you want to close your eyes again and go right back into it, you may. If you're ready to come out of it, you can reach your arms up overhead. If you're having back pain, you may want to stay on your back for this segment. You could keep your feet and legs on the chair, or you could keep your knees bent. You might take some rotations with the ankles and the feet here. I'm going to roll myself over to the side, and I'm going to bring myself back up to sit. Now, I find it somewhat challenging to sit cross-legged, so I'm going to sit up on a block. You can sit however feels comfortable, or lie down however feels comfortable. I'm going to put my beanie back on because it's an important symbol for me of feeling protected. And as I walk myself into this very challenged and hurt world, that I remember that I have my boundaries. I'm placing my hands on my heart just as a reminder to hold space for my emotions, to hold space for the complexity of who I am. I am imagining that my ancestors are around me, bringing me strength to walk through the rest of my day. That those who have come before me, who have offered me their guidance or their wisdom, or offered me things that I don't want to take, and that's fine too. I'm remembering those who are suffering, those who are incarcerated, those who are at the front lines of oppression, and finding a dedication for my practice. Inhaling, feeling my ancestors around me and at my shoulders. And exhaling, forward bending in a gesture of honor towards myself and others. So thank you so much for being with us today. This is the first video that I'm posting. I've been making a series of videos during this time, and I invite you to come back. Most of them are related towards pain, towards injury, towards making yoga more accessible in the body. I'm really honored to be able to do this work, and if there were things in this practice that didn't work for you, or other things that you would like to see, instead of shaming or blaming me, I just invite you to reach out to me with your questions or your concerns, and I would be happy to address them. This is how we create accountability together. Before I leave, I want to acknowledge that I feel very sad, and as I'm getting ready to end this video, I can feel tears coming up. And it's fine for those tears to come up, but I'm going to continue to remind my body that I'm safe so that I don't bring myself into a state of trauma. Thanks, everybody. See you in the streets.